Premier Doug Ford was calling out the Prime Minister this morning, saying if Justin Trudeau doesn't get rid of the federal carbon tax, the voters will push him out of office. The Premier making the remarks surrounded by agricultural groups opposed to this week's increase to the carbon tax. Hadi Azad joins us live with more on this story. Good evening, Hadi.
Hey, Matt. Premier Ford is asking Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to reconsider the federal carbon tax increase that went up from $65 a ton to $80. That's a 23% increase. Now, this comes after Trudeau said some premiers like Doug Ford would rather complain than propose viable alternatives for reducing emissions.
Folks, let's cut to the chase. This carbon tax has to go, or in a year and a half, the Prime Minister's going.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is predicting that voters will turn against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau if his government doesn't reconsider Monday's carbon tax increase. Ford listed over a dozen farming and business organizations who all oppose the carbon tax hike.
Here we go. The Ontario Federation of Agriculture, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, the Beef Farmers of Ontario.
The president of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, who owns a farm in Binbrook, says drying about 2,500 tons of grain cost him $4,500 in carbon pricing last fall.
A greenhouse in my hometown of Hamilton relies on heat provided by burning biomass. But natural gas is still needed to ensure a reliable and stable heating supply throughout the rest of the year.
He says the financial burden is significant.
Of $13,614 of a natural gas bill, the carbon tax was $3,837.
In Hamilton, Jan Vanderhout, a greenhouse cucumber grower, says the carbon tax is having a massive impact on farmers, especially those growing fruits and vegetables indoors.
I really hope that the federal government can have some compassion on growers, yes, on consumers, absolutely, and pull back on this unfair tax.
He's also concerned for consumers.
Like, it's easy for them to put the carbon tax up by 23% yesterday. It's really hard for me to go to my customer and say, like, yeah, I need more money today because this carbon tax just got up. So that's not how it works. Honestly, grocery costs are too expensive. $100 doesn't go very far anymore.
Food and distribution expert Sylvain Charlebois says it's difficult to determine the impact of the carbon tax on food. That's because a lot can impact retail prices, so the cause is not obvious. However, the carbon tax does go up on April 1st every year and will continue to do so until 2030.
I'm certainly concerned, obviously, because we don't know exactly how the carbon tax will impact our nation's food security in general.
Today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre posted on X, writing to Trudeau to call an emergency meeting of all First Ministers to discuss the carbon tax. Matt?